This is Wildcat Country.
Larson tipped it. Love has it. Lewis slams it, and Arizona wins it.
The inside scoop on the Arizona Wildcats.
It's Gunnar Maldonado. He's got blockers. Touchdown, Arizona.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to bear down.
Welcome to another edition of Wildcat Country presented by Harrah's Auction Casino. Eric Cohen and Shane Dale. And you know what? If you had asked me at the end of December if Arizona would be playing in the second weekend of March Madness, I'd have thought you were crazy, Shane. And here we are.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Well, first of all, when I say butt-clenching season, I mean butt-clenching season. Yes. First of all, if you were a casual fan in Seattle and decided you just wanted to catch a couple games on Sunday, a couple NCAA tournament games, you got your money's worth and then some. You had Maryland, Colorado State, and then I was hoping, praying that the next game wouldn't be as stressful, and those prayers went unanswered. But we did win, and that is the most important thing. I was wrong. I picked Oregon to win that game. About 5 minutes in, I was feeling very good about my pick.
Yep.
And then I was thinking toward the end of the game, me and being the Debbie Downer that I am, was thinking it would be fitting if they found a way to blow this game, fitting way to end the season. But they're in. They moved on. Oregon's a really good team. They've been playing better than a 5 seed. And the hard part of the bracket's out of the way, right, Eric?
Hardly. It's funny because I was watching with friends and we went on Friday night to a place in Desert Ridge, and then I ended up going to the same place on Sunday. I said, all right, we had good luck there on Friday. We're going to run it back on Sunday.
Where are you going to be on Thursday, Eric?
We'll talk about that in a little bit. Yes, that's something. You might be able to watch with me if you're in the same place as me on Thursday. Mm-hmm. So I told my friends, I said, after watching that Maryland-Colorado State game, I said, can you imagine your team's season ending like that? The way Colorado State lost. And Arizona, if not for some clutch free throw shooting by Del Orso and Caleb Love, very well could have been, and I would have been at fault for that, for the jinx.
All's well that ends well. Yep.
Coming up, big show this tonight. We're recording this on Monday night. Matt Muehlebach, Mr. Triple Double, going to join us in segment number 2. And our buddy Mike Kintner from Harrah's Auction Casino, an Arizona alum, going to join us to make some picks in segment number 3. But Shane, it is time for buy or sell. Let's get right to it. Number 1, I think it's the question that I've asked over and over and over, but now we can officially say it. We can officially say, Shane, that it's a successful season now that Arizona is in the Sweet 16. Buy or sell?
Relative to expectations and what happened early in the season, yeah, I'll buy it. I think so. I think it's only fair. We have higher standards. We have high standards at Arizona. I mean, I feel like the standard is you compete for a Final Four every year, even though the team hasn't been there since 2001, which is kind of crazy. But I think that's the standard. I think the difference this season, obviously, is that you're a 4 seed. I think the expectation, not only were they a 4 seed, but you look at the bracket and you think, oh, Oregon's going to be tough. And then you probably got the hottest team, the best/hottest team in the country in Duke in the Sweet 16. And here we are. And they have that opportunity. Now, I mean, it's not unprecedented for Arizona to get past this. But yeah, in terms of a success, I mean, when Tommy Lloyd took over, Sean Miller's tenure ended very roughly. We didn't really know what to expect from Tommy Lloyd. He is the second winningest coach in the first 4 seasons at any program. But of course, you're judged on NCAA tournaments. I think we had a bad taste in our mouth each of the first 3 tournaments because we thought the team could go further each time, especially in season 2 when they lost to 15 seed Princeton. This year, not so much. So I think that's fair. They had a great start to their Big 12 experience. So, yeah, I think that's fair. I'll buy that you'd have to consider the success relative to where expectations were at least a month or 2 into the season.
Let me put it this way. For a team that I gave up on, I mean, in December, this is an incredible win. Tommy Lloyd, by getting to the second weekend of the tournament, it's a major win. And I'm very pleased. And in my opinion, Shane, Arizona's playing with house money going forward. Yeah. I mean, there's no pressure. The pressure is all on Duke at this point. That's what it's all. I mean, you've gotten As a 4 seed, you're one of the 16 best teams in the country. Arizona has proven that. Arizona is going to finish very likely in the top 15 at the end of the year, which is where they started the year. I can't really argue
Yeah.
that. I mean, this team had its flaws. We saw that early on. They lost one of its key pieces in Mo Krivas, early
Yeah,
on for the
that's
season.
true. And that's a fair point as well.
And you ended up making the Sweet 16, and you're going to play Duke, and just like 2011, you see what happens. Now the difference is you don't have a Derek Williams like you had in 2011, who was the National Player of the Year. However, a guy like Carter Bryant stepping up, Caleb Love carried that team on Sunday night. They looked great against Akron in a game that we were
Mhm.
a little tepid.
Yeah.
Arizona has a history, Shane, of
Hmm.
losing early. We know that. And
When's
they
the last
destroyed
time?
Akron.
When's the last time you felt like Arizona was playing with house money in the tournament? Was it 2011 against Duke?
Um, yeah, I would say
I might say two.
probably.
I might say 2 years after that when they were a six seed
Oh,
and they
oh,
played 2 seed Ohio State.
yeah. I was just gonna say the Ohio State game when they lost at the buzzer.
Yeah, or close
That
to it.
was, yeah, or close to it. That was a house money situation with Mark Lyons, everything like that. But I think those are the last two. Otherwise, I mean, that 2018 team lost in the first round. Obviously, there's no house money. 2022 lost in the first round.
Yeah.
And 2021, we had high expectations, thought they were a Final Four caliber team with Ben Mather. And last year, thought they were a Final Four caliber team with Pelle Larsson, Keyshawn Johnson, Caleb Love. This year, I thought Sweet 16 ceiling, now if they were to get past Duke, Shane, and we'll talk about this with Kintner later in the show,
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be hard to lose in the Elite Eight there.
Well, yeah, and you think back again to 2011 when they beat top seeded Duke, and then they had 5 seed UConn. And you're thinking, okay, we could beat Duke. We should be able. No, I mean, Kimball Walker and UConn were on such a heater. They won, I think, 6 straight games to win, or 5 in a row to win the Big East
Yeah, right.
tournament, and then they went on and did what they did. So I get it. Um, but yeah, if they beat Duke, I mean, our expectations change with every game, and Arizona expects to go in and win this game, even if very few other people are. So yeah, I think if Arizona were to beat Duke, I think we would certainly expect them to beat BYU. Beating them in Provo, should have beat them in Tucson. Alabama, I don't know about. Arizona played them last year, but they're different teams now. But yeah, I think once you get to that point, I think it would be a disappointment because it changes from round to round. It would be a
Right.
disappointment at
You
that
beat
point
the
if they
best
get there.
team in the tournament,
Yeah. Well,
I
and
mean,
especially because Arizona's been to the Elite Eight five, lost their last 5 Elite Eight games, and a couple of them in overtime, some heartbreakers in there. We don't want to have to talk about them. Everyone remembers. So getting that far again, I think would ironically be more of a disappointment than if they were to just go and lose to Duke. It's just it's unfair how that works, but I think it's the way it is.
Shane, Big 12 teams are 10-3 in the tournament. I think it's fair to say that Arizona playing a brutal conference schedule has paid off for them.
Yeah, and I was thinking, if Arizona had that schedule last year, because I think last year's team was as good, if not a little bit better than this year's team, would they have? I'm just going to say with choked against Clemson last year because I mentioned it so many times. Clemson was the best team Arizona had faced in months. That wasn't an issue. Oregon had been playing. They won 9 of their last 10. They played their best basketball this season. Dana Altman's a heck of a coach, and but Oregon is not the best team Arizona had faced. They faced a lot of teams comparable to that in Texas Tech and Houston and Kansas and BYU the second time around, over and over and over. So they were tested. They knew they've learned how to take a punch. They'd learned to fight back when they get punched in the mouth or even when you get knocked down early. And they got knocked down early, big time against Oregon. Yeah, I think that paid off. And I think if it, you know, is it enough to beat Duke? We'll have to wait and see. But I give Arizona a better chance against Duke. And it's kind of the other way around now. Duke feasted off some pretty bad teams in the ACC. I'm not saying they're not an elite team. They absolutely are. They beat Arizona pretty soundly in McHale. It's one thing to win in McHale. It's another thing to do what they did. But Duke has played a lot of very average teams over the last couple months. So the tables have kind of turned there. I don't know that's going to matter come Thursday. But Arizona is one of the better teams that Duke has faced in a while. And I think that's an advantage that Arizona might be able to play up.
Yeah, I think you're right. And Arizona knows what to expect from Duke. They played it. Now
Yeah.
they've already played them in November, as we talked about it. So you kind of referenced this earlier. So on Thursday night, I had mentioned this a while ago. I bought tickets a while ago. I had a friend coming into town from the East Coast, big U of A fan as well, but he's a Diamondbacks fan. I'm a Cubs fan. Opening night, there's an aura about opening day, and the Cubs and the D-backs are playing. I bought expensive tickets, not ex but like good price, lower deck tickets, and I'm planning on going to the game.
Yeah.
And this is not really a dilemma because the West is Friday. So I was thinking, okay, I believe it's Friday, right? So like, or I just didn't
The
think
East.
that this was.
Yeah. Well, since Arizona played, later, in the second of 2 days in both rounds, you thought maybe they'd be the same thing in the Sweet 16. I thought it was going to be two,
I mean, I was
but
hoping they'd play earlier, Shane. I was hoping they'd have the early game, even
well,
though
that too.
it was impossible. I mean, they were never going to put Arizona Duke as the early game. But now
Yeah.
I'm going to be at the game. Ideally, I watch on my phone if the signal is good enough in the game to do that. Now, if the signal is not good enough, I have big problems and I'm not going to be able to sit in my seats and I'm going to have to go wander around Chase Field to find somebody with a TV on.
Mm.
It's going to be a problem.
Yeah. Well, now, what the big question is: would you trade a Cubs loss for a Wildcats win?
You bet.
Okay, that's the
Cubs
right
can
answer.
lose 15 to nothing as far as I'm concerned.
Well, you'll be surrounded. I'm sure it'll be 50-50 Diamondbacks Cubs fans there
Oh,
anyway.
no, no question about it. But it's just, you talk about awful timing. I mean, yeah, there's no way I can recoup what I bought the tickets for,
Mm.
to sell them. And, I think if Arizona was favored in this game, or I felt maybe that they had a better chance to win, I might have more of a,
I
yeah,
mean, I'm not judging you for going to opening day.
no, I mean, I talked about this with a few people, and some people think I'm making the wrong move. Some people think,
it's it's
hey, you do what you can.
it's earlier in the year though, because I remember back when I was at ABC 15, I had 3 days in a row. Which, I mean, this is going to sound like a brag, but it's not. It's just I covered the Final Four in Glendale on Saturday. Went to
Hmm.
opening day on Sunday for I
Hmm.
think Diamondbacks. I think it was Diamondbacks Red Sox, and then was back in the national championship game, the North Carolina
Very good.
one on
Yeah.
Monday. But it just made me think that opening day earlier,
Yeah.
or is okay?
Yeah.
That's okay. So it's a little
It's
bit
just
different.
it's brutal timing. I mean,
Yeah,
it is what it is. But anyways, okay, we'll move on from that. I'm sure somebody out there has to be in the same dilemma that I am. So hopefully
it's a
you
first
are,
world
and
problem to have, Eric.
it's
It
a
really
first
is.
world problem, clearly. Yeah. Number two, Shane, not necessarily a buy or sell, but great Tommy Lloyd's late game coaching last night, A through F.
I I'll give him a B. I mean, there's two different ways to look at it. If you look at it from the standpoint of, they're up by seven with about a minute and a half left, a little over a minute and a half left, and they had the ball, and they had to find a way to escape with a win. I credit Oregon for that. I mean, Oregon's a really
Yeah,
good
but
team,
it's such a low
but
IQ game that we played in
yeah,
general.
and the turnover in the backcourt where Oregon had a chance to tie or take the lead, and then missing some free. Oregon missed some free throws too, but Arizona also. But then the last 20 seconds or so, first of all, shout out to Anthony Del Orso for
Yeah.
nailing those free throws. That was a role that Pelle Larson played a lot of times for Arizona. They're completely different players, but Larson would be in late in games specifically to because he was is clutch at the free throw line. And Del Orso not only to go make all four, but in a one-on-one situation. So you miss the front end, and then you don't get a chance at another one. So absolute nails, and he had a good game all around. So give him a shout out. And then I was actively wondering, because I don't remember being seeing a similar situation where Arizona was up three that late, and what Tommy Lloyd would do if he wanted to foul or not. Because I know Sean Miller subscribed to that theory. Fouling when you're up three late, and I do too. And I
I
was glad.
don't. I don't actually.
Well, I was glad. Well, I'll just finish. I was glad to see it. They did it twice. They did it well. They did it when, a second time the Oregon player tried to make it look like he was shooting. He wasn't. The official didn't buy it, fortunately. But I thought they managed. Look, Oregon had it. They didn't get to attempt a three until the meaningless three at the buzzer that almost went in. They didn't. Otherwise, they didn't attempt a three to tie or take the lead in the last minute. And I think that was some good. The game on the court, not great, but the strategy in the last few seconds, I think, was good.
I'm gonna give Tommy Lloyd a B minus C plus. I just the not playing Tobe Awaka in the final 5 minutes until 40 seconds left was baffling because Vasar was having a terrible game and
Yeah.
he was getting absolutely abused. And that was an F decision that probably should have cost Arizona. I mean, it's not his fault when the guys can't run a 3-on-1 and get a basket, even though I would have pulled it out and wasted the time. But that's just me. You can waste 25 seconds with a minute left, instead of going up nine. That's probably what I would have done, but that was a really low IQ play. It was
Yeah.
not Arizona's best game from an IQ standpoint.
No.
But the Awaka not playing him, and we never got any reasons for that, but it was a almost unforgivable. But
It's
now we
all,
can
it's all we'd be talking about if they had lost that game.
correct. The fouling, I am not a fouling up three guy. I know some people, you are, I'm not. I would have taken my chances and let him go. I thought Arizona fouled too early. I thought, for a team that was struggling getting the ball in bounds,
Yeah.
I was not.
That's true. They had to do it. They had to do it twice. They had to do it twice because Oregon made both the free throws the first time they did it.
Didn't like it at all. Didn't like it at all because Arizona had to make 6 free throws in
Yeah.
that. And what are the odds? For a team that, as we saw, shot so poorly on Friday night
Yeah.
from the free throw line. Yeah, I didn't lie. I'll give it a C plus. I'll end up on that. So real quick, I want to talk about the Akron game. I thought, and I know we're all going to focus on Oregon. I cannot tell you how impressed I was with this Arizona team against Akron.
Mm.
And I know Akron is what they were, but this was an absolute butt whooping that I didn't think Arizona was capable of, to be honest.
And well, I will give Arizona credit for the second half against Akron and then against Oregon for taking care of the ball. I think they had eight, nine turnovers against Oregon, and they only had 3 turnovers in the second half against Akron after they turned it over 12 times the first half against Akron. And they were still up 10. So that just tells you, okay, you cut out the turnovers and you'll be fine. And then of course, that's exactly what happened. The rebounding's been good. Free throw shooting's been a little bit suspect, although it was very good at the end of the Oregon game. It was good to see Trey Townsend have a big game. So yeah, they did what they were supposed to do. They did, not only did Akron not make a lot of threes, they didn't attempt a lot, and I think Arizona's defense had a lot to do with that. So, and I like that. Again, we're seeing different ways Caleb Love can influence the game. Sometimes he goes off for 29 like he did against Oregon. Other times, like the game against I think it was against Kansas in the Big 12 tournament, didn't light up the scoreboard, but he did so many other things. And so, again, the whole narrative is Caleb Love against Duke, which I understand. It's a great narrative. I'd be pushing it as well, but he doesn't have to go off for 25 or 30 for Arizona to win. He has to take smart shots, pass the ball well, limit turnovers, play great defense, and he's capable of doing all of those things.
No, he probably has to go off for 25 or 30 for Arizona.
I don't think so.
I mean, Arizona goes as Caleb Love goes. I've said it for months and going to stand by that there. Number 3, Shane, let's just put it here. Keeping Caleb Love was the right move over getting Joson Senin.
Duh. Yeah. Well, I mean, Sanon, I think Sanon's actually going to be very good. He had an ankle injury that was bothering most of the year, and he still put up decent numbers. I just think, I like Bobby Hurley personally, even though I know most Arizona fans don't, but I don't know if Sanon's going to get the kind of coaching he needs to get to the next level.
No, he already's in the portal. Yeah, he's in the portal.
Oh, did he already visit the portal? Okay,
yes,
I didn't see
on Sunday.
that.
He's in the portal. Yeah.
Oh, I can't keep up. Okay.
So,
Well,
I wonder if Arizona
interesting.
Yeah, I wonder if Arizona misses out. Not that I'm advocating that because you know how I feel about switching schools there,
Yeah.
but
Well, by the way, isn't it ridiculous that the portal's already open?
it's terrible.
Yeah.
College sports between the NIL and the portal. The one thing that this is going to be a very unpopular opinion to most. At least you know how I feel about Cinderellas in the NCAA tournament. You know how I don't like them. NIL at least curbed that, so that's good.
I don't. I think it's just one of those tournaments where a lot of the front runners have won. I don't necessarily think that's going to be how it is every year.
We'll see about that.
We'll see. But yeah, but as far as the transfer portal, I think like JJ Watt posted something like, imagine if NFL free agency started when the playoffs began.
It's awful. Well, it is for coaching. I mean, you see it for NFL coaches, but it's awful. It's at some point they got to regulate this. Speaking of free agency, well, I guess not really the same, but the chances of keeping Carter Bryant for another year seem rather remote after his performance this past weekend, Shane.
Yeah, I made him an official deal on X. I said, you get to the Final Four and you can go pro after this year. But yeah, I saw the latest mock draft. I forget where I saw it, and he was 16, which would put him right on the edge of the lottery.
Probably got to go at that point.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame him. I mean, he's got to bet on himself, and I mean, And again, a lot of it comes down to NIL. What you saw the whole thing with Dalen Terry a couple of years ago. He was considering coming back to Arizona until he figured, okay, I think I can be a lottery pick, and he was. To his credit, Carter Bryant's probably going to go through the same thing. If
No,
he thinks
Dalen Terry wasn't a lottery pick. Well, he was like in the end of the first round, I thought.
no, I think he was middle first round. Go look it up.
I thought Dalen Terry was a little bit later.
Coloco
He
was
was
later.
18. He was 18.
Okay,
So
not
it's the
quite
latter
lottery,
half
but he
of
was
the fir-
close.
Latter half
He
of
was
the first
close.
round. Yeah, it's
He was
close.
close.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so Carter Bryant could go the same range. He'll probably bet on himself and go. Um, but I mean, I could scream Tom Blue in the face about how coming back for another year would do him a lot of good because I think he could be the star on the team
Yeah,
next year.
Derek
Probably would be.
Williams-esque. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, you're never guaranteed that chance again if you miss it this year. KJ Lewis came back, and I don't know if he's improved his draft stock this year, especially after shooting horribly from
He
three
should come
like
back.
he has.
He should come
Yeah,
back.
I like him. I like KJ Lewis a lot, but you have to be able to shoot from the outside to go to the NBA, and he
He
hasn't
made a
done
three
it, so.
yesterday. That was nice.
He
I guess in
did.
both games. Yeah.
He did. I still don't want him taken anymore. But hey, if he's going to shoot him, I might as well make him. But yeah, I at this point I would guess that he's probably gone, which is unfortunate. But I'm confident that Tommy Lloyd will restock somehow.
Real quick, just quick thoughts. Sean Miller to Texas, Mike Bibby to Sacramento State. Any thoughts on either of those coaching moves?
I've having fun watching on X how mad Xavier fans are at Sean Miller, which I sort of understand. It's kind of funny though, because I was thinking, we all talk about that Arizona Duke game in 2011. You remember who Arizona beat before that game just to get there was Texas.
Texas.
And a crazy finish. The 5-second violation. Derek Williams gets a
That's
3-point
right.
play.
That's right. I forgot. Yeah,
Tristan
you're right.
Thompson
Yeah.
was on that team
Yeah.
for Texas.
Yeah.
It was a very good game. We don't remember that one very well because of the Duke game after that, but that was a crazy game. No, good for him. I'm not going to throw out this question now. If you're going to answer it if you want, but if Oregon had beaten Arizona, I would have thrown it out. Would you, if you could have Sean Miller back at Arizona, would you rather
No.
have Sean Miller for the next 5 or Tommy Lloyd for the next 5?
Tommy Lloyd.
Yeah. You're that clear on it. Okay.
Yeah. Sean Miller got his ceiling as the Elite Eight at Arizona, and it was never going to be higher. We don't know what Tommy Lloyd's ceiling
I
is.
just don't know how that's, I mean, that, especially that 2 Elite Eights. I mean, a couple of them come down to the final seconds.
Couldn't get past it.
No.
You got three Elite
But
Eights.
is that the only
reason?
reason? I mean, I feel like that's just not good enough. If you like Tommy Lloyd better, I could do a pros and cons list. I think it's very close. And Tommy Lloyd's been great, but and he's been more consistent in terms of getting Arizona as a high seed. Sean Miller was kind of all over the place. So I'll grant you that.
I will say this, and good for Mike Bibby at Sacramento State. That's
Yeah.
good hire for Sacramento State. You don't turn down Texas. I understand the Xavier people are pissed, but you don't turn down Texas.
No,
That money,
no.
that environment, good for Sean Miller. I never thought he'd get a job like that. I guess that's what happens when you beat him in person. Chris Del Conte was like, all right, yep, we're going to take care of business here and hire him. I get it. Good for Sean.
Now, is he going to hire Book back? I wonder at some point.
I doubt that, but I think Book's coaching a high school team.
Yeah,
I read, like a good high school team. I saw that. Shane, real quick here, Shane standouts. Can you give us a few baseball teams rolling, softball teams rolling? We're gonna have a lot to talk about in future weeks. However, it's basketball focused now.
Yeah, I'll be real quick. I want to mention some other shout outs. Shout out to the Gym Cats, Coach John Court, who was the
great
Big
guy.
12 Coach of the Year. Elena Dietz was named Co-Event Specialist of the Year. Gym Cats are going to the Big 12. They finished second in the Big 12 championships. They're going to the Nationals in Seattle as well. So congrats to them on an already outstanding season that will continue soon. They're going to compete against Missouri, Georgia, and ASU a week from Friday in regionals, or nationals rather. Men's tennis team went on the road and beat number 17 Baylor for its first Big 12 win. Casper Christensen, Alexander Rosen, Jay Friend all won their singles matches, and they swept Baylor in the doubles point. So congrats to Clancy Shields, former Wildcat Country guest, on that accomplishment. Softball team took 2 of 3 at ASU over the weekend. Devin Netz gave up 1 run in a complete game win on Saturday, and she went 4 for 10 with a home run in the series as well. Baseball took 2 out of 3 at West Virginia, including a 16-inning win in which they earned a program-high 29 strikeouts. Shout out to Casey Hintz, who pitched the final 3 innings of the series winner on Sunday. He gave up 1 hit in those 3 innings, and he's now 5-0 on the season. And again, I just want to mention Anthony Dell'Orso. for being nails in and validating Tommy Lloyd's decision to keep him in there late in the game. Caleb Love gets all the headlines, deservedly so, but Delhi had one of his best games at Arizona.
Let me throw one more in there. Tournament Trey Townsend.
Oh, sure.
He was great against Akron. 14-8, something like that. He played against those lesser opponent, and he stepped up. I mean, it was what you thought he would do. We're going to talk to Matt Muehlebach coming up next, but first of all, wanted to remind you that Wildcat Country is brought to you by Harrah's Auction Casino. And why wait for rewards, Wildcat fans? At Harrah's Auction Casino, your play today means free play tomorrow. Sign up for Caesars Rewards, play your favorite slots, and unlock up to $25 in next day free slot play. Plus, your rewards go beyond the casino. Enjoy dining, entertainment, hotel stays, and more at 50-plus destinations nationwide. Bear down, play today, get rewarded tomorrow, only at Harrah's Auction Casino. Must be 21 or older to gamble. All right, coming up next, it is Matt Muehlebach, Mr. Triple Double, here on Wildcat Country. For the 14th time on Wildcat Country, we are very glad to welcome our friend Matt Muehlebach, Mr. Triple Double. All right, before we get to, I know they're in the Sweet 16. This is great. So much to talk about with you. So there's breaking news as we're recording this. We have Sean Miller to Texas. We have Mike Bibby to Sacramento State. And now we have Josh Pastner to UNLV. Which of those three hires do you like the best with Arizona ties?
Well, I mean, Sean Miller is probably the biggest pop right out of the box. I mean, Texas is, Chris Del Conte, athletic director, former assistant at U of A, all the money in the world, Sean Miller. Interestingly enough, I have not talked to Sean in a while, and I texted him after they beat Texas the other night, and he texted me right back. He's super cool about it. Just said, hey, congratulations. I had no idea that was going on. But I think the Pazner thing to UNLV is interesting too. I just did a game out there. We know what the history is there. So, by the way, you said 14th time. I'm almost like a Saturday Night Live guest, like one of the guests on SNL, like a Steve Martin or something.
I mean, you're just so used to. I mean, we've done this almost 5 years, and we have you on.
A guy you swore must have been part of the main cast at some point, but never actually was.
That's right.
Yeah. All right, Matt. So let's dive into this before we look at Duke. Let's dive into this Oregon game. Eric and I talked before our previous segment about, is this the game Arizona would have won last year? Because number one, Oregon's playing very good basketball, and number two, they fall behind 15 very early. Do you think that the challenge, the obstacle course they had throughout the Big 12 made an impact in that win?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I think a couple things jump out to me. Number one, I think the Big 12 got them tournament ready, battle tested. The other thing too is whether you're in the Big 12 or whatever conference you're in, I got to give Tommy Lloyd a ton of credit. And I probably said this on your show before, since I've been on so many times. But I swear to God that a couple of the biggest intangibles for the NCAA tournament, one is, playing not to lose, letting it rip, as Tommy always says. And that's a really hard thing to do when you're a higher seed. The other one that I think is almost equally as important is not panicking. Yeah. And when you're down, what were they down? 19-4, 17-4. Yeah. That's an incredible intangible. And I would have panicked. I mean, I would have been panicking down that much. I mean, it's one thing to be down 12-4, 12-2, or 15-8, but you're down 19-4. I mean, like, it's almost like you're looking at, like, even trying to come back. How do you do that? They don't have a deep bench, as we've talked about. It's good. It's tiring to get back, to actually be back and leading in the first half. Like, it blew me away. Actually blew me away. I would have never, ever bet that in a million years. So the idea that Tommy didn't panic, his team didn't panic, there's a ton of like props that need to be, be told on that.
So what, now what, I guess, is their motto. It's like, okay, So what, now what?
Right.
And that's a great, I think it's
cool.
Great. Not to get cheesy, but that's a pretty good metaphor for life in general.
That's right.
It's something I might carry forward. Like Scooby Wright told us, control what you can control. I think about that all the time. Yeah. So this is going to be Tommy Lloyd's 10th game at Arizona, coaching an NCAA tournament game, 10th NCAA tournament game at Arizona. This will be the first one where they're going to wear the road jerseys. They're going to be the underdog. This isn't a game they're quote unquote supposed to win. Do you think that changes the mindset at all for this team going in?
Yeah. No, I think it does. I mean, it's even more let it rip. It's even more, play loose. It's even more, just go for it. I saw Barkley, and Barkley was getting on one of those guys.
That guy drives me crazy. He
about
needs to stop picking Arizona.
Yeah, what did he say? Something about, I don't like the phrase "nothing to lose," but we understand what that means, and I think Arizona can play super free and let it loose. I mean, by the way, look, a couple people have talked about this. How cool was Caleb Love's interview when they asked him, "What do you think?" And you
could see the wheels turning.
The greatest pause
mm-hmm.
in history of Arizona, like interviews in the tournament.
That was great.
Because I have no idea. I want to ask him at some point. You guys got to have him on the show and ask him, okay, what were the 14 things that he thought about on that in that interview? And then, props to him for like just saying, okay, we'll be ready. Like that's a veteran move right there. Sure, I want to mention something. I want to mention one other thing. I was reading in the paper. I didn't realize this. Arizona gets beat up for having some first round losses. And look, comes with the territory. They've had some first round. They've lost more in the first round than they should have. Yep. I'm not hiding behind that. But Arizona is 20-3 in this round of 32, in the second round since 1988.
Wow.
Tell me a team that's better.
I actually did not know that. I did not know that. That's a great stat.
I was shocked when I saw that. 20-3 it's incredible statistic about how successful the University of Arizona has been in the second round. I mean, like I said, I'm not sure anyone could line that up and beat that.
When's the last time they lost in the second round offhand? Do we know? I mean, just off the top of your head?
Wow, that's a good trivia question. Someone put it down. Someone put it in the comments.
Yeah, that is a good question.
I actually don't. I'm trying to sit here and like think about it.
Yeah. Sean Miller never did. He lost in the first round a couple of times, but
I don't remember.
Yeah, that's a great question.
I know I lost in the second round in 1990 to Alabama.
So you're one of
the Alabama game.
I'm one of the three.
You're one of the three. So if anybody knows the other two without cheating, put it in our YouTube comments. All right, Matt, I asked to Shane at the top of the show, would you consider, based on relative expectations, that Arizona has you can consider it a successful season at this point?
Yeah. I think I'm always. I mean, people can disagree with me all you want, but when you're in the Sweet 16, unless you're UNLV from 91 or Kansas from 97 or name a bunch of teams like that, maybe Arizona a couple times, if you're like the number 1 or 2 seed in the tournament, I don't think a Sweet 16 feels like you've had a successful season. Feel like you need to at least win 1 or obviously 2 more. But I think where Arizona is 4-5. They started the season ranked 11, which was probably too high, or 9. But they're in the top 16. That's actually where they should be. And so they've and that's a really hard thing to do, obviously, to get there, especially with these teams that we're seeing right now. There are no Cinderellas.
Chris Felica, who now with Fox Sports, tweeted this out last night. He said, Tommy Lloyd managed that last 30 seconds or so perfectly between his substitutions and fouling up 3. That team is so maddening, but so talented.
Amen.
How would you grade Tommy Lloyd's late game coaching, including the mysterious benching of Awaka until 45 seconds left?
Well, I mean, number one, you have to say it's an A because they won, right? You got to go with the results. They won the game. The team made some curious decision making. That 3-on-1, the 3-on-1, I think they were up 7, would have taken them to 9, and that was the dagger. It was over.
Yep.
Back it out.
Yeah, and they made it a lot harder on themselves.
What do you do in that situation with the ball?
I probably would have attacked. I don't know. I mean, I mean, as the passer, I probably would have made a really careful pass. I mean, the lob play is like the fun play, but I probably would have gone right to the rim and then just laid it off for a layup. I mean, the funny part was the announcers were yelling lob. I think Jalen Rose was yelling lob. I mean, you just got to make the right play and at the worst, literally not turn it over. That's the only thing you can't do. And then KJ obviously had the unfortunate missed dunk, and they had a couple weird plays. I got a question for you guys. Did someone ask Tommy about not playing Awaka in that last?
I haven't seen it, and I'm baffled by it. There's no Henry was not playing well. I didn't understand it.
Yeah, and maybe I don't know. Maybe he was saving them. Maybe I remember Tiger Woods along. a long time ago, Tiger Woods, when he won his second major, he said, I never felt sort of like bad because I never lost the lead. And I'm trying to think, did Arizona ever, I don't think they ever
No,
lost the lead.
no,
And
but
maybe, I don't know. It was odd to me that he didn't play. I mean, because he obviously had a really good game. And like you said, Henry struggled a little bit in that game. But hey, look, results, it's a results business. He won the game. He did a great job. Again, I give him the ultimate credit for not panicking and the way he handled his team from start to finish.
All right, Matt, how do you beat Duke?
great, Shane.
Number one thing, somehow get their bigs in foul trouble. I mean, their bigs to me, I went to the game in McHale and I've watched Duke now. I think the most underrated part of that team, like they'll show Duke highlights and they show the offense and the guy that hit the threes and Cooper Flag, of course.
Yeah.
The number one thing to me is their defense. Their rim protection is beyond elite, and you just can't score in the lane when the starting center's in there. And then they bring the backup, who's really good too. And I think you got to somehow go at him and get him in foul trouble.
Fair enough. I was looking back at the box score. I watched the game. I don't want to watch the game again. The first time Arizona played Duke this year. I looked at the box score. Krivas was the starter in that game, and as far as a big man, Waka and Vesar played limited minutes off the bench. Who needs to step up? I mean, obviously Caleb Love. We know the story there, but who else are you looking at to step up for Arizona against Duke?
Well, I think the bigs. I think Vesar and I think Awaka again. And when Vesar's in, the thing that he can do, so I think you get him in foul trouble if you can. Vesar can also pull their bigs out. He can get out to the top of the key. He can make, if Vesar can pull the bigs out and make 2 threes, and then that in itself opens up the middle some more, that alone will change the dynamics of the game because it'll create space. And we all know when Arizona's got their guards going, when Caleb and Jaden and KJ are getting to the rim and attacking the rim, that's when good things happens for Arizona. And then it opens the outside. So I think Vesar's ability to create and make some shots could be literally the key to the game.
All right, my last question for you, Matt. We appreciate it as always. So, sorry, one more to throw in. I want to talk about Arizona's three-point shooting lately because that was a liability almost all season. They've been outstanding the last several games. Have you noticed a difference in there? I mean, is it just they're just shooting better or something else going on? And what are the odds Arizona keeps that up against one of the best three-point defending teams in the country?
When they were struggling, I did one of the first games, I think the game after UCLA or the second game after UCLA announced it. And in shoot around, Tommy said, and I may have said this on your show, our passing will unlock our offense and how we share the ball and how we pass it. And what I noticed is offensively, they're just their movement, their passing. Tommy, it looked like put a little wrinkle in that early or that when they start their continuity offense, they put a little wrinkle in it the other night. And they're creating more energy in their offense, more movement, passing. They're swinging the ball side to side. When you do that and you share it like that and you get in a rhythm, like a collective team rhythm, you're going to shoot the ball better. They're taking less. Okay, I'm going to just get mine and go for a three.
Yeah.
And they're taking a lot better shots. Caleb by himself. Caleb, to me, I didn't think he'd be a second round draft pick in the NBA. I think he should be now. He can play in the league. His physicality, how he defends, how he goes to the rim, he needs to become a better shooter, but I think he's good enough now. I think he's an NBA player.
I'm going to have 3 quick ones for you. Carter Bryant, stay or go?
Well, God, I hope he stays. I mean, I just think he needs maturity, right? It's just fine.
At least three more years of maturity. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. But I don't know what these guys do. It's just who knows now.
Number 2, how confident are you that Arizona at least plays Duke close, if not beats them?
They got to play really, really well. And I did the radio with Brian Jeffries when they played him in, what was it, 011 in the Sweet 16?
Mm. Oh, were you really on radio? Interesting.
I was on the radio. I
Hmm.
went to shoot around. After the shoot around, and I say the Duke shoot around. The Duke shoot around was the most impressive shoot around I've ever seen doing any game that I've ever seen in my life.
Wow.
They barely spoke. The ball never touched the floor. It looked like it looked like I said this, I think, at the time. To me, it was like Drago against Rocky in Rocky 5 or 4 or whatever that was. Duke was Drago, and I swear to God, I didn't think Arizona had a chance. Sean Miller's brother, Archie, I remember walking off the court right after the shoot around, and Archie looked at me and he said the same thing I just said. He goes, I've never seen a shoot around like that ever. And but funny things happen in the tournament, and they had a young team then, Kyrie and company. They have a young team now.
Mhm.
Yeah, things get funny in tournaments like this, but they are awesome. Like, let me put it that way, they are awesome.
If you were to pick a Final Four as of today, 16 teams left, who would be in your Final Four?
I would just pick all the one seeds. They're so
Interesting.
dynamic, every one of them. What's that?
Really? I said interesting. We've only had
I pick-
one time. One time, I think 2008 was when all the one seeds got there when Kansas beat
and
Memphis.
yeah.
Yeah. Other than that,
ju-
usually there's an upset.
Yeah, I know. I just think that all 4 of those one seeds are just incredibly good.
Matt, as always, you've been a big help to us throughout the year. We always appreciate it. And I guarantee you we're going to reach out in the next few months. We want to hear what you think about, the postmortem and then what the roster looks like for next year. But always appreciate having you on with us. Great insight, as always.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy it Thursday. This is special stuff when you're playing the #1 team in the nation. It's going to be fun.
Discover more Play for All at Harrah's Auction Casino.
Hi, folks. Here are your drinks.
Where having fun means racking up reward credits with the Caesars Rewards loyalty program that can be redeemed for food, free play, hotel stays, and more. Not only here in the city of Maricopa, but also at more than 50 Caesars properties coast to coast. From Harrah's Las Vegas to Caesars Palace in Atlantic City. What are you waiting for? Play for all at Harrah's Auction Casino, the official sponsor of Play.
Shane, our buddy Mike Kintner, the general manager of Harrah's Auction Casino, joins us for the first time in months. Mike, we haven't talked to you in a while, but talk about a show to have you back on. Arizona is now in the Sweet 16. So at the start of the show, I asked Shane, would you consider, regardless if Arizona loses to Duke on Thursday, is it still a successful season in your mind for the basketball team?
Yeah, I think, yeah, absolutely. Bear down, guys. Nice to see you. Good to be back on. Yeah, I believe so, man. That's so exciting the other night to watch them play the way they did. And Caleb Love, man, I mean, just, what an incredible performance. But, it just seems like so far in the tournament and then through the Big 12 tournament as well, really a bunch of different players stepping up and playing really, really well. So, yeah, it's been a bit of a roller coaster of a season, I think, but man, how fitting. Sweet 16, going to play #1 seeded Duke. I'm a little upset. I was supposed to go to the Sweet 16 game when it was in Anaheim. Was that 2011 when we played Duke and Derek Williams went off against them? Yep. I wasn't able to make that game. I got out to the next one against UConn when we got Kemba Walkered, and I'm still so disappointed that I couldn't be there. Not going to be able to make it out to Newark for this one, but man, would be amazing if we can if Caleb Love can just do it one more time and get it done and beat Duke.
Yeah, hey, Mike, you remind me. You went to Arizona for undergrad and KU for.
I started out at Kansas, yeah. So
okay,
I graduated high school in '91 early. My very first semester was I started in January and of '91, and that was the year that Kansas played Duke and Bobby Hurley in the national championship game. It was my first semester at college.
Wow.
So that's when my I would say it's not even a love-hate relationship. It's when I learned how to hate Duke, I think, right then, that very first semester. I was at Kansas for 3 years, transferred to U of A, do the world-renowned racetrack industry program, and graduated December '96. So
through the racetrack portal, right? The racetrack transfer portal?
Yeah, that's right. Where Bob Baffert, right? He's out
Right.
there. It's a horses program. He
That's right.
the Bob Baffert, Todd Pletcher, those
Mhm.
awesome alumni from that program. But so 97 was the year obviously we won the Natty and right after I graduated from there and then
Okay.
yeah. It's,
Well, that's what I was going to ask about because, Arizona faces off against Kansas twice in a row. And then you mentioned they played Kansas in 97. I actually went back and watched the last few minutes of that game on YouTube just a little while ago. And I forgot how close Kansas made it at the end. But any mixed feelings when Arizona and KU mix it up?
No, not at all. You can see I got the flag behind me.
Oh,
You can't
yeah.
really see my credentials. I got all the U of A gear. No, I think when I transferred, man. I was all in on Arizona. My mom, my sister, my brother-in-law, and I all graduated from Arizona. I graduated from
Wow.
there twice. My
Okay.
youngest son, Chaser, he's gonna be a Wildcat starting this fall. So he's gonna be going off to
Nice.
U of A.
Nice.
So continuing that family legacy. So yeah, no, it's like a lot of family and stuff still back in Kansas, and quite frankly, I get sick of seeing all the KU stuff in my timeline. So it's bear down for life.
Well, Arizona ruined Kansas because obviously Kansas beat Arizona on senior day. Wildcats then beat them in the Big 12 tournament, and KU loses in the first round to Arkansas. Then we can just say it's Arizona's fault. So, hey, we'll go with it. All right, we're going to make picks here for the remainder of the tournament. Let's start in the South region. Shane, I will start with you. Auburn is still alive. Michigan State is still alive. Iowa State is not still alive. Who you got coming out of the South?
Yeah, I had Iowa. Iowa State's kind of a sentimental pick, even though I know that they had guys hurt. But I got all my Final Four teams are in it, so I'm going to stick with them, including Auburn. I'm going to take Ole Miss over Michigan State. I remember there was this stat about how teams that started the season outside the top 25, but then were like a 1 or 2 seed in the tournament, have never made the Final Four, and that includes Arizona a couple of years back with Ben Matherin. So I'm going to go with Auburn, and I'm going to go with Ole Miss, and then are we stopping there?
No, you just
I'll, I'll
you're
do,
taking Auburn.
I'm going to take Auburn. I'm going to take Auburn to the Final Four.
All right, Mike, who you got in the South region?
I like Auburn coming out of there. I too, being honest, in my bracket, I had a all Big 12 Final Four, and Iowa State obviously had some injuries and didn't get it done. But I think Auburn's going to come out of the South.
Shane, there was a stat, speaking of trends that were meant to be broken, Arizona had not covered the spread 2 games in a row. I guess they still didn't, depending on what you got the line at, 3.5 or 4.5
Yeah.
the other night. They had not covered the spread in two consecutive tournament games since 2013. And that dates, year over year as well, continuing. So trends are meant to be broken. That's why I'm sticking with my pick in the South of Michigan State. I still think they're the best team, and I like what I saw. I think Auburn is the best team, but I think Michigan has a very good chance to upset Auburn. And I thought Michigan was a complete fraud. I was wrong about them. They got hot. I think we're going to see a Michigan State regional final. The state will shut down on Sunday
yeah.
for that game, but I think Michigan State comes out of it. All right, let's talk about the West. On that same side, we got Florida. Looks pretty good, even though UConn gave them a scare. Michael, start with you there. Do the Gators find a way, or does Texas Tech ruin the party?
I picked. I want to do my bracket, and I still like them. I think Texas Tech, man. I think they're solid. Obviously, we've seen them and seen what they can do, and I think Texas Tech's gonna get it done.
Shane, what do you think?
My kind of wild card in this my Final Four pick, because I always try to pick at least one team outside of the 1 or 2, was Maryland, and don't feel as good about them after they had to do a little bit of traveling to beat Colorado State the other day. But I'm going to stick with them because I'm stubborn. I'm going to go Maryland with the. I know. I agree that I'm going to go Maryland the upset over Florida.
Really?
I'm going to go. That's what I started with, and I'm going to go Texas Tech over Arkansas. And I'm going to stay stubborn and take Maryland because one of the reasons I picked Maryland is because they were one of the best in the country in terms of margin to victory. Didn't apply against Colorado State, but I think they're even a little bit better than their record. Kind of the opposite of Michigan, which has won a lot of close games this year. So I'm going to take Maryland over Tech. Although I would be happy to have to see Texas Tech because we've got to know some Texas Tech fans. I think they're pretty cool. I'll be happy to see Texas Tech get to the Final Four as long as Arizona does too, and then I can be happy for them.
Then you can be happy. Yes.
Yes.
I actually think Florida is absolutely the team to beat here. Well, obviously, I think they played their tough game against UConn, got through it. I think they're going to plow through Maryland. I think Texas Tech is going to take care of business against John Calipari's Arkansas team. Listen, Cal did a great job, knocked off Bill Self, and found a way to shock Rick Pitino. Got to give him props there. I think the party ends against Grant McCaslin and Texas Tech, and I think Florida beats Texas Tech in a very entertaining regional final. All right, let's go to the Midwest region. Houston is left, Tennessee is left, Kentucky is left by Kylan Boswell, and Purdue is left. We have the top 4 seeds in this region. Mike, what do you think?
Houston. I mean, we obviously we saw them twice, played them tough, and they are just. I mean, good luck to everybody who has to play them. I think they got a good shot to even go. I mean, obviously, I want Arizona to go all the way, but if we don't, I could easily see Houston getting all the way.
Shane, I have a feeling you're going to differ from Mike on this one.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame that Kirk Kreese is hurt because you could have seen Kreese versus Boswell in that Illinois Kentucky game. I'm going to go with Tennessee, even though Kentucky's beaten Tennessee twice this year. I'm going to take Tennessee to finally get some payback. I'll take Houston over Purdue, and I'm going to take Tennessee to edge out Houston. Houston is one of the best teams in the country. I just think that particular matchup with Tennessee's firepower on offense, and they got a good enough defense. I think Tennessee finds a way to get to the Final Four.
I'm sticking with my pre-tournament predictions. My bracket hasn't been so good, but I had Michigan State and Florida. I'm sticking with Houston over Tennessee as well. Houston kind of choked at the end of the game the other night against Gonzaga. That was pretty bad to watch, and they survived. I guess this was all about survive in advance. They survived, as Arizona did, and I think they'll take care of business and get to the Final Four. All right, we got through the 3 regions. Everybody wants to hear what we're going to do here in the East region. It's Arizona, it's Duke. It's 6:40 on Thursday night. Shane, as you already know, I'm going to be at opening day watching the game on my phone, seeing my Cubs against the D-backs. I know we got your thoughts on that earlier. Mike, Arizona Duke, what happens?
No, I think I've seen 8.5. I think it was opened. I saw 9 today. I think I've seen 9.5. Plus 9.5 for Arizona. I would take the points all day, every day. I'm hoping, obviously hope Arizona can win, and I think they can. I think the teams are both very different teams. On X prior to this looking, and X can be a bit of a rough place. The Duke fans coming out saying, yeah, Arizona can claim they're different, but Duke's a lot different now too. Fair enough, but it's man, this is hopefully it's a little bit of a revenge season, revenge tour. Get back and love to get through Duke. Make it to the Final Four. Obviously got another game in there, but if we could and be able to see Houston for a third time and maybe get it done there as well. So, but yeah, I like Arizona.
And who do you like in that Alabama BYU game?
I think BYU. I mean, we saw what they could do all year. They've been great. They've been playing really tough. SEC still has what? They still have 7 teams, and I think.
It's crazy. Yeah.
So, I mean, still, I think you probably saw a lot of people that wanted to see less SEC teams by now, but clearly, they've had a really good year. We'll see what they're made of, but everything I've seen out of BYU all year long, I don't think anybody wants to face them right now.
I agree with you, and that's why I'm sticking with BYU to go to the Elite Eight as I had in my bracket to start. Shane, I'll go before you on this one. I think Arizona keeps it close for the first half. I think it's really interesting at halftime. The 2011 game, I think I saw a line there or something that the line was 9.5 in that game, and Duke being favored. Remember, they had a future number 1 overall pick on that team as a freshman in Kyrie Irving. A lot of parallels there. Unfortunately, the second half, Arizona does not have Derek Williams to bail them out. And I think Arizona will wear down late, just kind of like we saw in the 2 games against Houston. And I think Duke wins very close to that line. I'll say Duke by 9 or 10, somewhere in that ballpark. It is not a spread that I will play, but I think Arizona covers the 5.5-point line in the first half. So I would play that. But I think Arizona's season ends on Thursday night. All right, and then I think Duke beats BYU in the regional final. All right, Shane, it's on to you. Give us some good news.
I'll start with this, and if you want good news, if Arizona can beat Duke, I don't see any reason why they can't win the whole tournament. I mean, it's just like when Arizona beat Kansas in '97. You think, okay, who's gonna beat them at this point? With that said, you look back to the first game. Krivas started that game for Arizona, and you didn't see much of Awaka or Vesar or Del Orso for that matter. I think Henry Vesar is going to have a big game. He hasn't done a lot these first 2 games. Didn't have to, so it's not a criticism necessarily. But I think he's going to need to have a big game, and he and Awaka are going to have to find a way to at least keep Cooper Flag from going off. I do think that if Arizona does win, the narrative is Caleb Love, Caleb Love. I think a lot of other guys are going to step up. I think Vasar, KJ Lewis, maybe Trey Townsend if we get tournament Trey again, and Carter Bryant as well, his draft stock is improving, but mixed feelings about that. My big concern is even if Arizona does keep it close, and I think they will for most of the game, I still don't trust this team to finish in late games against great teams. And I'm thinking about Houston both times. It's not a coincidence that both times Arizona's blown a halftime lead this year. The only two times it's happened was against Houston. Duke's, they're a different team, but they do everything well, kind of like Houston does. And so I think, if Arizona's, if it's a one possession game one way or the other with 5 minutes left, I just don't trust Arizona to close. So I'll be optimistic enough to say I think Arizona keeps it close. I agree, but I think Duke ends up winning going away, maybe by 12 points.
So are you picking Duke over BYU or Alabama?
I got BYU over Alabama as well. I had them go to the Elite Eight. I'm not going to, it's first team to 120 points wins in that game. But I've got Duke winning. And then I've got my final four. I had Auburn over Duke before the tournament started, and I'm going to stick with that.
I'm going Duke over Florida before the tournament. That's what I had. Mike, what did you have for your national championship?
National championship, Arizona, Texas Tech, with Arizona getting the win.
How about that?
We'll have to have our guy Joe Lopez from Tortillas and Takes back on if that matchup happens.
If that happens, and they play for the fourth time for the national championship,
amazing.
The sky may fall. Mike, what's been going on? Exactly. Yeah, you're right. Texas Tech has a home court advantage. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. Mike, what's been going on at Harrah's Auction Casino? We haven't gotten an update from you in quite a while. Anything that you want to pass along? What's happening over there?
Well, I do have some. I got from our marketing director. She gave me some little bit of inside baseball here. Some stuff that's not out to the public yet, but it's going to be open to the public. We got coming up. First of all, Caesar's Rewards or Caesar's Rewards property. So we want everybody to sign up for our Caesar's Rewards card. It gets you to 50 properties across the U.S. From Vegas to Atlantic City and everywhere in between. Of course, beautiful Harrah's Auction here as well. But for on Thursday, April 24th, we have your friend Brad Sesmet coming down with Pro Football Hall of Famer Brian Urlacher. They're going to cover the opening round of the 2025 NFL Draft. The live broadcast starts at 5. I think Brian's gonna be around 6 p.m. Probably be able to take some questions. And that sort of stuff. Plus, every guest that comes out in 10s are going to get some drawing entries into a free drawing that we're doing when you sign up for Caesar's Rewards, and you'll be able to win a variety of autographed football memorabilia. And you can get additional entries for play and all that kind of fun stuff. Look for more information on the website probably the next week or so out there, and it'll be going out to all of our Caesar's Rewards members, and we'll have their information out there. So pretty cool event. Mine's all highlighted up, but we got Brian Urlacher coming out. So you come out, play and win. That's what we like to do here. Of course, make some bets at the sports book while you're out. Get something great to eat at one of our restaurants. Fun place to come and hang out and play.
Yeah, Brian's a great guy. Had a chance to meet him a couple times. The coolest guy, and obviously Brad's a good guy as well. So that's a great event. Would love to try to make it out there. The draft's in Green Bay, but hey, who needs to go to Green Bay when you can watch at Harrah's Auction Casino? That's the place to be. Michael, I want to talk more football with you in the future. I know you're a big season ticket holder now with your younger son heading down there. So we're going to talk about that, have you on in the next few months. Once basketball season is past us here, and I want to talk some football, but always great to have you on, and let's hope your predictions come true.
What did Tommy Lloyd say? I think he said the other night, what the team is like, what the attitude, so what, now what kind of thing? Like, let's stay optimistic. Let's them keep grinding. We got lots of guys that can step up, and like Shane was saying, we need somebody in this Duke game to really step up, and who knows, maybe Carter Bryant, maybe he's our Derek Williams this year, but and Caleb seems to know a little bit of something, so hopefully he can have that Caleb magic, Caleb love.
I was wrong about this team in the first half of the year, Mike, and I said since then Arizona will go as far as Caleb Love takes them, and thus far it's proven to be true. So I want to thank our buddy Matt Muehlebach for joining us in the second segment, and our good friend Mike Kintner for joining us in the third segment. For Shane Dale, I'm Eric Cohen. Thanks for listening, and as always, especially this week, bear down.
Bear down, guys.